I've still not fallen back in love with dahlias, so my dahlias bed this year I'm going to be doing something very different, which actually is quite on trend. As we are now heading towards the end of February, we can start to reward ourselves with thinking about sowing some more seeds. Now, the greenhouse itself is filling up beautifully with lots of plants which I have been overwintering and are now being potted on, such as my stunning viola. Now, this year, rather than going with dahlias in my sort of pollinator bed, I'm going to go with something which is a real classic but is making a big return this year in 2025. And that is my chrysanthemums. Now, at this time of year, we can be sowing them, but again, being in an unheated greenhouse is not going to be friendly. Our light is actually improving in terms of our daylight and the length of our daylight, but we still don't have that warmth. So even though I'm going to be sowing them in the greenhouse here, I am then going to be taking them home where they're going to be nice and warm on a window ledge, where they're going to get that light, but they're also going to get that essential warmth. Now, as I say, chrysanthemums, they are stunning as pollinator plants, but also as pot flowers. Very similar in the sort of blooms that you get to dahlias. And again, these are perennials, so they will come back year after year. And actually starting them off and sowing them now is a great one. And we should be looking at about 10 weeks until the end of the frost, which is where we are at the moment. So that then, once they have actually grown and established this really nice seedlings, we can get them outside. So very simply, all I'm going to do with my peat-free compost, and this is multi-purpose, and I've never had an issue actually sowing seeds in this multi-purpose compost. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to fill up this seed tray, and I'm going to nicely sort of mush it down so there's some really nice sort of sturdy growing medium for the seed to actually grab onto. Now, when it comes to the chrysanthemums, there are so many different varieties, and I'm just going to start off with these multiple colours, although again you can just go for your own colour scheme. So just opening the seed packet, and what we see is that the seeds are actually a fairly nice size. When we think about things like antirrhinums, for example, they're just about like dust, and we have to be really careful when we're sowing these. But these are going to be pretty visible as we get sowing. So all I'm going to do in this small seed tray is just sprinkle these around, and then once I've done that, I am going to top it up with just a nice light sprinkling of compost on top. We're only looking at about half a centimetre of compost on top, because some seeds, we have to remember, do like to get light to them. Chrysanthemums aren't necessarily one of those, but they don't want to struggle to get to the surface. So once I've just sprinkled over a nice layer of compost, I'm just going to press that down, and then it's going to go into a propagator with a lid on, and it's going to come home with me. Now what will happen is within sort of about 2 weeks, these should germinate, they should start poking up, and I need to leave them until those true leaves come through, so I can then start pricking them out and putting them into their own pots. Very similar to what I've done with my violas, which are looking absolutely stunning. So starting to think about what I'm going to be putting in my beds, and actually starting to get those itchy seed sowing fingers into action now that the light is getting better. But we still need to watch out for that heat or that ice.